Hey, what's up boys and girls? Today we'll be drawing Eevee from Pokemon. In this short video, I will show you the step-by-step tutorial of how to create this Eevee drawing from scratch. Now let's go over some of the materials we're going to need for this drawing. You're going to need a piece of paper, and you're going to need a pencil, a black marker, an eraser, and some crayons. We're only going to be using 4 colors today, and that is black for the shadow, okay, inside the eyes, of a dark brown, okay, for most of the shadows. I have a yellow for the lighter part of the fur, and another brown for the rest of the body. Okay, so let's get started. To start, let's take a look at a reference of Eevee and see what shapes and form, okay, we can use to help us draw Eevee. I'm going to grab my pencil, and I like to usually use a circle for the face. We can modify the circle later on to fit the form of the face, okay? Now the 2 ears are like 2 leaf shapes. So if I were to draw a smaller thumbnail right here, you see that we have the face or the head, and then in 2 corners of the head we have the leaf shape. Okay, and the body is hidden in all these fur. So we're going to draw a big oval for Eevee's fur, like that. See, a big oval shape. And I'm going to draw a cross on my circle. And this cross will help me locate all the facial features later on, like that. Okay, so now I have all the fur. I'm going to draw these 2 legs in here. Now these 2 legs, you need to see through the shapes. So if you try to see through the shapes, you can see that these 2 legs are in a shape of 2 upside down eggplant, like the vegetable eggplant. See, when you're looking at a character, just imagine all the body parts as objects that you see in everyday life. So, see, 2 upside down eggplants. Now the body, it's a big oval like that. Okay, and then the rear legs, another 2 eggplants. Now this leg right here, all the way in the back, most of it is blocked, but that's okay. Just imagine if you were to see it. It will look like that. Okay, and then the tail in the back, I'm going to draw a circle and just point it out at this direction to the right. So I'm going to draw big circle, then point it out to the right. Okay? See? Now we have the basic shapes and form we could use to draw Eevee. And see how I have a cross here? Later on, when I move on to a blank piece of paper, when I start on the bigger version, my own version, I'll be able to know exactly where to put the eyes, where to put the nose, and where to put the mouth. Okay? In relation to this reference here. Now let's take a look at the lighting. So here's how to find out the lighting of this reference. Find out where, so we have midtone, we have highlight, we have shadow. Most often, very common, most of the colors are going to be in the midtone color. Okay, so the midtone color is going to be right here, right here, right here, right here. And then you have the shadow color, which is the darker area right here. You have shadow right here, and highlight in this area. Okay, so this is all considered shadow, midtone. We have shadow, midtone, and we have some highlights here. Okay? Now, when it comes to shadow, there's also form shadow and cast shadow. Form shadow is when the shadow follows the form. And cast shadow is when the shadow is casted from an object, usually in front or on top of it. It usually gets closer to the light source. Okay? So that's why you see this shadow right here. It's a cast shadow from the head. And you'll also see these shadow right here on the upper part of the leg are cast shadow from the fur. As well as this is also a cast shadow. Now this shadow on the tail will be a form shadow. See how it follows the form of the tail. Okay, so from where the shadows and highlight and midtone are located on this example drawing of Eevee, we know that lighting direction comes from top down. Alright, so let's start our own drawing. Okay, let me move the reference to the side and grab a blank piece of paper. Okay, see how I have a bigger version on my paper now. Okay, so we can very clearly see our circle. That's the shape of the face. The 2 leaves for the ears, and then the oval for the fur, and 4 eggplants, upside down eggplants for the leg. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another oval shape for the body. Okay, and then we have this circle for the tail, and it angles up this way. So next, I'm going to start refining my line work. See how I draw very lightly when I just start with the basic forms and shapes? And I'm going to draw over it again, a little bit darker this time, so that all the lines that I'm sure that it's good, I don't need to change it, it's going to become darker. I'm not sure the lines that's blurry, not very confirmed, it's going to fade out. Okay, so I'm going to start refining my shapes, add a little bit more details, including the facial features and some other things like the furs and whatnot, and the toes and stuff like that. Okay, let's start. Okay, so now we have a more refined drawing of Eevee, and it's ready for us to grab the marker and start tracing our pencil line work, okay, to get it ready for the coloring. So when I was drawing, you'll notice that a lot of times when I draw a circle, to help me draw a perfect circle, sometimes I don't just try to make it one take. A lot of times I would draw the top, bottom, left, and right corners of a circle to kind of anchor where I want my circle to be, like general shape and location. And then I draw the other 4 corners, and I will connect the circle. It helps me draw better circles. I hope that will help you too. So when I was drawing the head, when I was drawing like the eyes, you see me use that technique, okay? So it's a very helpful technique. And you see that a lot of the shapes that we used to begin with, like the circle of the face, we modify the curves on the side for the cheeks, bump up the cheeks and flatten the areas where it needs to be flattened, and then it slowly becomes a face. But it all starts with a circle. Okay, with all that being said, let's start tracing. When you trace, you want to look at areas where shapes overlap. For example, right here, right here, right here, right here. You want to pay attention to that. The reason why this line of the ear is cutting into the head is because it's indicating that this ear is in front of the head. So the leg, the reason why the lines for the leg cut into the line of the body is because it's trying to indicate that these legs are in front of the body. So those areas, be very careful when you draw. Okay? So let me grab my marker and let's start tracing. Okay, so here we have the outline for the Eevee drawing, and I erase it with the pencil line that we can still see. I erase it with the eraser. So a couple techniques I want to just talk about is when you are tracing, your paper doesn't have to be like nailed on the table. You can always rotate it, as you saw when I was tracing. You can rotate the paper to help you, get better line works. And another thing is, a lot of times when I trace, if it's a very long curve or very long line, you don't have to finish with one stroke. We can always break it up into a couple of different strokes and then make up that longer curve. And then when you erase the pencil line, to avoid creating wrinkles on your paper, you want to hold down your paper with your left hand, with the hand that you don't have an eraser. And then you hold it down and then you erase like that. Okay? If you don't hold down your paper, if you're just erasing like that, it's most likely that your paper is going to move and then start wrinkling. Okay? So that we don't want. Alright, so next I'm going to grab my crayons and start coloring in. I'm going to start with the small areas like the ears and the eyes. And then I'm going to start with lighter color, like the fur here and the tip of the tail. Okay? and then I'm going to always start, I'm going to leave out all the highlights. Let's see where my highlights are. I'm going to leave those out. I'm not going to color in. I'm going to leave it white. So we see that we have like highlights right here, tip of the feet, a little bit right here, forehead, a little bit right here on the tip of the ear, right here and right here. Okay, and then some highlights right here. I'm going to leave those uncolored, okay, because crayon is lighter in color. So when I leave it uncolored, it feels like highlight. I'm going to start laying down all the midtones, and then I'm going to color the shadow on top of the midtone, okay? Because when you overlay colors together, it'll get darker. But you can't really overlay colors to make them lighter. At least on paper, it is that way, okay? So I'm going to start with the midtone while leaving the highlight uncolored, and then put down the shadow. Let's give that a try. Okay, so now we have the color all in. I'm going to go over like some of the things that I did when I was coloring. So you'll see that the highlights I left out, and then the shadow it's overlaid on top of the midtone. Okay, and then for example this lake, I feel like it has to be darker than all the rest of the shadow. I would use the black and just color over it again. Okay, so the next step is to grab my marker and just punch out some of the profile lines and make the whole character pop out a little bit more, make the whole drawing pop out. Okay, so let's do that. Alright, see how after I make the profile lines thicker, the whole drawing pops out a lot better. Something I did forget that before I thicken the profile lines is I forgot to clean off my drawing, but it's never too late. Okay. Alright, so there we have it, how to draw Eevee from Pokemon. I'm going to go ahead and sign this. Never forget to sign your artwork, okay? There you go. I'm actually going to date it as well. So I'm going to date it. 09. Okay. 18. 20. Okay. So hope you guys enjoy this session of drawing. And let me know in the comments below what we should draw next. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.